Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast. Welcome back. I'm so excited for this episode. I got my new friend Grant. Grant and I just met, so this is something new for me, Grant. I've always only had, my business partner Ben, who's in the Navy right now, who can't join us, but then also people I've known in the barbecue world on the podcast. So you are my first guest that I really don't know much about, and I'm excited to chat with you a little bit more about what you're doing.
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast, Greg. I'm really excited to get to know more about you as well, and your partner Ben. Whenever he gets back, seems like a great group of guys. But yeah, so a little backstory about me. I just graduated from college in August. I applied to medical school and had a gap year, so I found a job doing research on human stem cell. And when I graduated, I found out that the real world costs a lot of money and bills
Sure.
are real. So I looked at a budget to how can I eliminate some of my expenses, and um, eating out and fast food was like number one. So I started cooking initially at my house to save money. That was my sole purpose. And then two things kind of came about that. First thing is I learned like this is a great hobby for me, and like a mental escape, which is like when I found y'all's podcast, I was just like totally in line with what I was initially thinking. And then the second is my roommate and my girlfriend were like, "Hey, these meals are like good, like you got something going." And so like that's only been going on for 4 or 5 months, and I wanted to start documenting some of like the meals I made just for myself, maybe in 30, 40 years to look back on. And so I made an Instagram and a YouTube, and it's just been like a really fun hobby for me.
Yeah, I know that's awesome, man. I mean, that's how it starts, right? You kind of
Mhm.
you try some things and you get kind of hooked. But yeah, your story intrigued me a little bit because you reached out to us,
Mhm.
and it was last week I got an email from you saying that you found the podcast, thanking us for that, but also what struck me about it was, you're pretty vulnerable in that email saying that you just got sober not too long ago, and it sounded like, at least from what I read into the email, that grilling and cooking, helped you on that path. So if you're open to it, would you kind of maybe, share a little bit about your story that way?
Yes, definitely. And this was what's so cool was I saw Meats and Mental Health with
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy's his name, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jimmy Z. Yeah. Show us your
Jimmy
meats.
Z, Show us your meats, which crazy story. I posted a picture on Show Us Your Meats last night and he commented on it. And I'm like, man, this dude's an idol. Now he's
Yeah.
commenting on my pictures. So that was cool. But yeah, going back to that, I'm like, that's what really drew me to the podcast, right? And so yeah, I've been sober. So like 4 years ago, I got into like a real dark place, and like again, this is like what I was hearing with Jimmy and stuff like that. I'm sure we had different battles, but in the same regards of like mental health and getting to a low spot, I had some people that really helped me out and get me back up on my feet. And what that looked like for me was like eliminating all mind altering substances. I'm just not a great guy on alcohol. And so, I was able to go back to college, finish my degree, graduate with honors, and like all these great things that ultimately were like a direct result of God giving me a second chance at life and giving me some great opportunities. And so, um, I through doing some work with other people, like trying to learn about myself. What are the interests that I like? Um, what am I going to do for me, not just to create this image that I want people to think of me, but what do I truly enjoy? And so, within the last couple of years, like I've tried all sorts of new hobbies and learning new things, getting out of my comfort zone for the first couple of times and failing. But being able to learn and work through that process is like, I just recently got into bow hunting. Fly fishing was another thing like that. Pretty hobbies that are probably too expensive.
Yeah.
But, to me, it's like good things to get out and hobbies that are, I think, beneficial for like mental health as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of good stuff going on. And what drew you kind of to, this is a grilling and barbecuing, podcast. So, you know,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask, what kind of equipment do you have in the backyard? Do you have a grill? Do you have a smoker? What do you got there?
Yes, sir. So I have it's a brand called Americana. It's just as plain charcoal grill as you can get, super old school. Initially, I didn't want to spend a lot of money going into it, and so I've been using that. What's on my Santa's Christmas list is a Oklahoma Joe smoker.
Okay.
I would I want to get into that. And one of the questions I actually had for you, because I'm a newbie for this, is the
Yeah.
idea I had was I want to learn how to do charcoal and wood smoking before I ever did like some of that pellet grilling. And do you think that is a good idea?
Oh, all right. So you're asking me the questions here, huh? So no, I mean, from my perspective, you're doing exactly how I would approach it. I would start cheap. I would get a nice charcoal grill. You can find those pretty expensive, or even go out to like Facebook Marketplace, resale. A lot of these places have it, and start that way. Learn how to, control temperature on on vents using charcoal. Then graduate a little bit to maybe using wood, just a stick burner, because those are offset. That's a different animal where you have to learn how to, again, um, learn how to smoke, but then also how to keep temp and gauge
Mm.
temp. So that's a whole nother art form to that. And the pellet is, I don't know if you graduate to that. A lot of people start with that because it's so
Yeah,
easy, where you can just plug it in and set temps and
for
then
sure.
feed it. So all different benefits to both and all of
Hmm.
them. But my path was starting with charcoal and then moving to offset. So that's how I chose to go, and that's what I would recommend, because if
Hmm.
you're very early on in your journey and you don't know if you want to do this long term, buying a couple $100, couple $1,000 pellet grill, there's a reason there's a lot of them on Facebook Marketplace, because a lot of people don't stick with it. So
Definitely.
um,
Yes.
my advice is always start cheap.
Yes.
Once you learn that you like it, then you can start buying more expensive pieces.
Great. Yeah, that's great advice. And that's kind of what I've been doing right now with I went for the cheapest grill I could find and make it work. And then I actually listened to your podcast about the 5 gifts for grillers, and I got a cast iron skillet
Oh,
after
very nice.
that, and that's been beneficial to use.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm a huge, cast iron skillet guy. You can use it so many different ways, and I'm glad I'm glad you found that podcast valuable too.
yes,
Because
sir.
I mean, I use it pretty much, almost daily, here, either on the grill, in the smoker, or on the stove, or in the oven. So I can use it a lot of different ways. So
Yes, sir.
um, you'll have a lot of fun playing with that thing. So enjoy.
I will. I will.
So when you first got your grill, how long ago was that?
That was 2 months ago.
Okay, so very new.
So
What was
very
the
new.
first? Yeah, what was the first thing you cooked on it?
So the first thing I cooked on it was some sausage links that were, I mean, I say cooked. They were already fully cooked. I reheated them on there and gave it like a smoke flavor. And then I did some steaks. I attempted a brisket, ultimately failed. And
Okay.
then we did hamburgers. And this is like, like when I'm going through these things, they're like first time. So I'm trying to learn as I'm going and
Yeah.
failing and trying to figure out what's happening. And then we have done the best one I've done on this grill is venison backstrap,
Okay.
and it actually turned out well. I invested in a meat thermometer as
Yeah.
well, and
Nice.
just try to keep looking at that and not looking at the venison. And
Yeah.
so it told me when it was ready.
Good. Good. So did you do that? So let's talk about the backstrap. So how did you prepare it?
So I've actually prepared venison, the backstrap, twice this year, with deer season going on right now. And
Mhm.
the best way I've done it is um, I had the backstrap and I covered it in mayonnaise, blue plate
Okay.
mayonnaise. And then I took some down south. I'm from near Corpus Christi,
Okay.
Texas. We have a seasoning that's popular here called Two Gringos Chupacabra meat
Yeah.
rub.
Yeah.
So I use that. Um, and little rosemary, and I think that was it, with a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got a nice sear on it. And then I actually stuck it in that cast iron skillet in the oven at 375 for 5 minutes. Took it out and wrapped it up in foil and cooked some asparagus in that cast iron skillet.
Very nice.
And so when the asparagus was done, I figured that was enough time for it to have been resting.
Yeah. Did you sear it on the grill or how did you sear it? Just in the cast iron?
I just seared it in the cast iron. That's correct.
Okay. All right.
Now the other time I did it, I seared it on the grill, moved it to my like safe zone where the coals
Hmm.
were, and let it
Yeah.
cook. But I think the
Okay.
cast iron I had a better result.
Okay. But you prepared it the same way. So you did the mayo, you put the same rub on, olive oil. Okay. And I would imagine the sear and the cast iron was probably caramelized it really, really nice.
It did.
Okay. Yeah, man, that sounds amazing. So how did it turn out then?
It turned out great. It actually looked like prime rib. And
Yeah.
that was like, I was super proud of it. So I posted it
Yeah.
on Show Us Your Meats, and
Yeah.
Jimmy commented on it. And
Nice.
so I was like showing off today, sending it to all my family.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. So you cooked it, you pulled it off, and then so do you do like a lot of venison? Do you hunt and stuff?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And
Okay.
you know, I really enjoy the process of like catch, clean, cook.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm near the coast. A great thing to do on the grill I like is redfish on half shell. And
Okay.
so if I'm able, to catch the fish, clean the fish, um, and that's super easy. Just getting you literally, the half shell is just a redfish cut down the spine, and you leave the scales on one side. So you
Okay.
have the meat and the scales on the other side, and season it with whatever seasoning with olive oil, and you push it on the grill, and it's ready when it starts flaky and white.
Wow.
So I'd have to Google the internal temperature of that, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I would imagine like you said, once it starts flaking, that it's pretty much done.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess the only coastline around here is Lake Michigan. So you say in the redfish, you just cut it in half down the spine. But one side's the scales. You leave that's on the heat side, and then the other side you season it, and then just throw it on the grill, direct grill, like direct to heat.
Yes, sir. But olive oil as well on
Okay,
top of the meat side.
and the meat side. Okay, very
Yes, sir.
nice. And I have to check that out. I haven't done anything like that just
Yes,
yet. So you do a lot of fishing down there as well?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh, I have hunted or fished the last 7 weekends out of 8, and so
So you're keeping busy, man.
yes, sir. Yeah, that's for sure. But like the venison deal, I mean, this is all natural meat,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
with the backstrap, I'll take the backstrap off. The front and hind quarters, I'll actually process myself through a meat grinder.
Okay.
Uh, and so I found a KitchenAid attachment, and it'll
Yeah.
grind right through it. Uh,
Okay.
and so I did a 60-40 mix with ground beef.
Okay.
And so try to add a little bit of fat to that ground venison. It's just so lean.
Yeah, very lean. Did you do like a lot of burgers or like what do you use that ground for?
Spaghetti,
Okay.
burgers, What else can I? That's the only two I've done this season is
Okay.
burgers and spaghetti. But I mean, it tastes just the same as if you got ground beef from the
Yeah.
store, but it's healthier,
Yeah. A lot cleaner for you.
a lot
Um,
cleaner.
yeah, that's what we prefer as well. So I mean that's super interesting. So you started, grilling, barbecuing not too long ago, but then you started a YouTube channel too to kind of show like cooking. So
Yes,
what made you want to, go now, I'm doing this cooking and grilling stuff. Now I'm gonna go share it with the world. What made you make that decision?
yes, sir. So I made the Instagram first, and literally my only reasoning for doing the Instagram was my own cookbook. Um, and
Okay.
uh, and then if other people like to see it, um, then it benefits both of us. And it's just like I guess this new era of digital, blogging or
Yeah.
um, and then the YouTube was more so I had some friends and family that reached out and said it would be a good idea to make videos. I think people would enjoy watching them. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll try it out and see what it happens. I never have, still don't have any like intention of trying to make this monetized, like make money off of it,
Sure.
because it's just a hobby for me. But
Mhm.
if other people can get joy out of it, then
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. So you have a few videos out there already. What was the first one you did? Was it the backstrap? What was that out there?
The first one was we did chicken wings, chicken thighs,
Okay. Okay.
and that was also another thing. Like I have never grilled, and so I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And I think the key to that was I did a overnight marinade in those chicken thighs,
Yeah.
uh, and it turned out really well actually. And so we did that, and then made homemade French fries.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So people can go out and we'll put your YouTube page and Instagram page and stuff in the show notes so people can find you. But let's
awesome.
give them a little spoiler. What did you marinate the chicken with?
So we have a store in Texas called HEB.
Yep.
Not sure if
Yep.
you're familiar with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it was a HEB brand hot and spicy marinade.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I remember of what it was called. It was HEB branded hot and spicy.
So you're
So
going hot and spicy on these so wings and thighs. All right. So you marinate them overnight. Did you put anything else in that marinade?
I did not. I just dumped the bottle in a Ziploc
Yeah.
and threw those thighs in
Let
there
it go.
and let it go.
Okay. So the next day you pull them out and you're doing them on the grill.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you put them on the grill. Is this direct? Is this indirect? How you setting up your grill?
So I tried to do after watching YouTube videos of people saying like a fire zone and a safe zone.
Yeah.
That's all I've been doing. And so just trying to play with them to
Yeah.
see, okay, this one's getting too burnt. Let me move it and to my safe zone. And really working on closing that lid and not looking at it. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't
Okay.
know. um,
So you put it over the coals, the hot. You're kind of watching it a little bit. Now, do you at this point do you have a thermometer that's inside keeping temp, or is it just kind of looking by sight and then you have an instant read, or what?
yes, sir. I had a meat thermometer that I would check it.
Okay.
Uh, Now upgrading to a thermometer on the grill is in my uh
It's on the list.
it's on the list.
Uh, yeah, yeah, man. You got to start. Start small. That's okay. And then so you're checking it. So these are right over the coals. I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're kind of moving them to the safe zone if they need it.
Yes, sir.
Um, and are you doing anything else? Are you seasoning it with anything else? Are you putting anything else on it?
I would have to go back to that video and
Okay.
rewatch.
Yeah.
But if I did season, it was the chupacabra seasoning.
Okay. So you like the chupacabra?
Well, it's all I've been ever introduced to.
All
So
right. All right.
I like it because I haven't tried anything
Fair
else.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome to grilling and smoking. Well, you'll be introduced to about 1,000 different types of rubs and seasonings coming up here soon.
Yes, sir.
Um, no, that's good. So you got it off. How did it taste? How'd it go?
It went really well, actually. And what's funny is about this hobby is so I live with another guy.
Okay.
He's my roommate, and then I also have a girlfriend. So they somehow always end up in the kitchen when I'm cooking, and they're
Yeah.
ready to taste test. And
Okay.
so, but I get a lot of joy out of feeding them, and like they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is good. You did good on this." And so
Yeah.
everyone um, agreed that they liked it, and I also tried to make my own uh, barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Um, and to be fair, I use Red Hot,
Yeah.
and I did something wrong. It was just way too sweet. So we
Okay.
just ended up using bottled barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way you learn, man. You gotta try something, and then it doesn't work until you try something different next time. So
Yes,
you
sir.
have to adjust that the next time you do it. So it turned out well. Your roommates approved. Roommate's girlfriend approved. Um, and then, so I got to ask you about the brisket. Um, you said you tried one and it
Yes,
didn't work
sir.
out too well for you.
Yes, sir.
So there's going to be a lot of people that listen to this, and people that haven't tried brisket before, they want to try brisket. So why don't you talk us through your process, what happened, and where you think maybe it kind of went a little wrong?
I know exactly where it went wrong, and I was like,
Okay, let's.
I couldn't maintain a temperature that I wanted,
Okay.
and I was just varying from low to high temperatures in this charcoal grill.
Mhm.
And I ended up, so I majored in biology in college. And so I'm really worried about, like, I'm OCD about eating meat that's not thoroughly cooked. And
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
a little scared about that, especially if I'm feeding other people.
yeah, yeah.
And so I got really nervous that it had came down to a temperature that was unsafe for too long, and maybe microorganisms started to grow in it.
Okay.
Um, and so I just I said I threw the flag in, other than trying to feed it to people and have the risk of getting them sick.
Yeah. So was
And
this a big piece of brisket, or was this like a 2 or 3 pound flat or something like that?
it was smaller, and I didn't
Okay.
spend a lot of money on it
Okay.
because I
Yeah.
know where I'm at, and I know,
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna buy some expensive piece of meat and ruin it.
Sure,
So
sure. So you went the safe route. You got something that was a little cheaper, or less expensive, and tried it out. Didn't work out just because of the fluctuating temperatures. So how big is the grill that you have? What's the surface area? Like a 22, an 18 inch,
I believe it's 24.
24. Okay. So still relatively, decent size,
Yes, sir.
so you're probably doing like indirect grilling or something like that again, where
Yes,
you had
sir.
the coals pushed off to one side.
That's what I
Um,
did.
yeah. Does the grill have a thermometer on it, like so you could get the temp? No. Okay.
It does not. But and this is like, I made it sound good. I went out there and checked, and there was nothing lit. They were completely out. Okay.
Uh,
So I knew it had been out for a while, and I'm like, this is just sitting out here. And so I
okay.
got really nervous.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's you learn about the process, and then you try it again, and that's the way to go. And that's why you don't buy, really expensive cuts of meat or really expensive equipment right away. So you figure
Yes,
it
sir.
out. Figure it out along the way. So if you could go back again and do it again differently, what would you do differently?
I would try to maintain charcoal that was lit, and I had this idea. I don't want to check on it a lot because I want to let it sit there, but I should have checked on it more, checked on the fire at least, and I don't think I'll do something big like a brisket or anything like that again until I can get a grill that has a built-in thermometer, so I can really know what kind of temperature I'm running at.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like a good plan. All right, man. Well, is there anything you got coming up that you're looking forward to cooking, or anything you got planned coming up?
So Christmas is coming up, and I know there'll be family members asking me to test out my new cooking hobby, and I'm sure there's going to be someone who wants something, but nothing set in stone. I also listened to you and Jimmy talk about. He did a bunch of turkeys for people for Thanksgiving, and so I talked to my roommate and I said, hey, maybe we can do something like that on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And we've kind of bounced off some ideas like what we would do for that. But I think it would be some great service work and like a way to get back to the community. And then also, we're working on the grilling and that side of things. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing if you post anything out there about what you're cooking, um, on that show us your meats page. Um, so now you've been doing this for a little bit. What has the reception been on the YouTube channel? Have you gotten a lot of feedback yet?
not quite yet. I think I
Okay.
have 14 subscribers, and most of them are family. But
So that's how it starts, man.
I've only posted a couple videos, and just haven't. I feel like if I put a little bit more effort into that side of things, it could take off more. But one of the things I try to do on my Instagram page is I post a picture of what I'm cooking, and then I list all the ingredients and the directions for how I cook that, just to make it easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so people who may be interested in following that, they can just go and see it.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's super valuable. And then, we do have a lot of grillers, like first time grillers, barbecuers that might find the podcast. So this is a great question for you since you just recently started not too long ago. What's one piece of advice you'd give yourself, going back to when you first started that you wish you would have known?
I would. Um, that's a great question. And so, like the greatest advice I got, and a lot of this was listening to your podcast as well, was like starting cheap and not going out there and spending money on nice expensive things. Um, but what I saw with myself in the early steps was trying to be perfect with it. And the most when I get the most out of it is when I am incorporating others into it and allowing it to be like a fun, enjoyable experience for everyone around. And I'm not like trying to micromanage. No, don't touch that. Don't open the lid yet. And it's okay to make mistakes,
Yeah.
have it be and fun, enjoyable experience for everyone that's around.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like you like the social aspect of it, cooking
Yeah.
with and for others, but then also not taking it too seriously where you're, stressing out about the process. It's okay to make mistakes. And I think that's a valuable lesson for people to learn from. And then my follow-up question would be, now that you've been doing this for a while, few months, what's one piece of equipment that you have that you wish you would have had when you first started?
Cast iron skillet.
The cast iron, nice.
Yes, sir. That's I've only cooked a few things in it, but so far I've been very impressed with it. And I had a question for you because I know
Okay.
speaking to my friends who are all
Hmm.
in the same boat with me is like, we grew up in a little different generation than our grandparents did that used cast iron a lot. So we don't really
Yeah.
know how to take care of these things.
Okay.
And so what would be your advice for how to maintain and take care of a cast iron?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of times nowadays they do come seasoned already. So seasoning is just getting it so, the surface is kind of as nonstick as you could be. But you can always do add more to it. So My rule of thumb is using some kind of natural oil, such as like vegetable oil, canola oil. Get a little light coating on there by using like a paper towel. So you're coating all sides of the inside of the pan, the cast iron with a light coating, thin coating. You don't want any pooling of any like oil anywhere. Um, I've also heard recently like flaxseed oil, but I haven't experimented with that. So, but I've heard good things about that. But one of those oils, you put a really thin coating on it with like some paper towel, and then you want to put it. I put mine in the oven, so I get my oven to 350. I've seen some people get it to 400. I've seen some people keep it upright. I've seen some people put it down, so like the opening is facing to the bottom of the oven. Um, I've always kept it up, but you can put it down. If you do keep it down, just know that you want to put something down underneath to catch the oil if it drips. Um, and you want to leave it in the oven for about an hour at 350 or 400. And then, when you're done, at that hour mark, just turn the oven off, let it cool, pull it out, and you should be good to go. Um, as far as cleaning it and stuff, you can, for the most part, I just have like a steel, what's it called? Almost like a steel chain. Um, what I'm blanking out here. So like a dolly, like a scrubber. So it's just
Okay,
like,
brush or
yeah, metal chains, a scrub, like a
yeah,
steel scrubber. Um, I could put a little bit of water in there and just scrub it out. And I'm good to go, dry it off, good to go for the next time. Um, there are some people that say never get it wet or never use soap. And I've seen other people say it's just fine if you use just a little bit of dish soap. So you got to kind of test it out and see what works for yourself. I
gotcha.
rarely put any soap in it. I'll just use water in that scrubber and it gets it clean. It's seasoned. It's great for the next time I'm ready to go. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. So again, once you get a new cast iron, very light coat of oil on it, bake it for an hour at 350 or 400, let it cool, and you should be good to go. And if you start losing some of that seasoning over time, just do it again. Repeat that process. Um, but if you find it's not sticky, like it's your food is starting to stick to it a lot or what have you, then go ahead and do that process again. But that's my recommendation, and try it out, see what works for you. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, that does, and that's what I did with the one I got.
Okay.
I did it for 30 minutes,
Okay.
and I don't think that was enough time though. So when I got it out, I think it needed to
Yeah.
be longer. Um, though
Did you
the
put it
one thing
upside down or did you
I
put it
put it
upside?
upside down. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Did you have so I've seen some people have done it upside down. If they put too much oil on it, they get like droplets that stick. Did you find that to be the case, or did you
I didn't find it to be the case because I really tried to
just
make sure it's
really
like
light? Yeah.
very
Yeah.
light coat
Okay.
since it was seasoned beforehand.
Hmm.
Uh, and I believe it's a polymerization reaction that happens with cast iron and the oil.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I just tried to make sure it was real in there
Yeah.
tight, get that heat. But another thing I did was after I washed it with the water, I did add soap, but I'm going to stop doing that now after your advice. Um,
Yeah, I
it's like,
mean, I've seen it either way. Like
yeah,
people that I know and I follow, they're not afraid to use just a little bit of soap, but I'm kind of a little bit more of the opinion, it's already seasoned. I can clean it out with a little bit of water and my steel rag, and
mm-hmm.
it looks good as new. So
Yeah,
that's how I go about it. But yeah, so just see what works for you based off of the cast iron that you have, and the taste too. Yeah, I don't know if some of that soap, that residual taste stays in there or not, but
for sure.
um, I haven't had any issues just using like a little bit of water and scrubbing it out.
Do you, after when you wash to dry, do you put it on the stove to burn any water or you just do napkin?
Yeah, I just dry it off with either a towel that I have for that or a napkin. Yeah, And I've also seen people just put a little bit of salt on there right away and scrub it in a little bit to do that. But yeah, typically I just let it. I dry it out right away.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
No problem, man. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit, and looking forward to seeing some of your cast iron cooking on the YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate you coming on, Grant, to take some time to talk about your journey and being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. So if people want to follow you on Instagram and YouTube and wherever else, where can they find you?
So both Instagram and YouTube is the same name, and it's Grant, Grant MC Mc. So it's the full name is Grant McFeeds. So GrantMcFeeds. And one of the like I wanted to add was,
Yeah,
I talked about being sober in this, and if
yeah.
somebody sees this and is like, I need to reach out to somebody, they can
Mhm.
most definitely message me on either one of those platforms, and that'd
Yeah.
be a safe place for someone like that.
Okay. Well, that's great. Thank you for that, and I hope that if somebody does see this and they need some help, they can always reach out to you. We're here as well. But Grant, we'll put some links down in the show notes so people can find you. But again, I appreciate you taking the time and having you on here to talk a little bit more with us, and wish you the best of luck in your new grilling and barbecuing journey.
Awesome, Greg. Well, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and I look forward to having a continued friendship with you.
Yeah, same here, man. We'll keep in touch, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're cooking up next.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right, cheers, man.